Hello, welcome to Obra Dinn. This is a brilliant game, a really good game, really good detective game. It's created by Lucas Pope, creator of Papers, Please. Um, yeah, so this will be a full walkthrough guide thingy where I will go through the game and try to beat the game by deducing all the identities and fates. Uh, but by doing it with logical reasoning behind everything I do, so that there's nothing left up to chance. So, lost at sea, 1803, the good ship Obra Dinn. Built in 1796, London, 800 tons, 18 feet draught. Captain R. Whitwell. Crew, 51 men. Last voyage to Orient. Cape Rendezvous, unmet. Contacting single sea London for some details. Obra Dinn has been returned dispatch to Falmouth immediately prepare a full assessment. So, this game, if you don't know, is you are an insurance investigator, and you are to go to the ship known as the Obra Dinn, and you have to determine who each crew member is and what happened to them, their fates. Um, are they alive? Are they dead? If they died, how did they die? And maybe who killed them?
Said you'd need ferry to the Obra Dinn. Not many eager for that job. Seems a bit late if you ask.
I didn't.
What's in the box?
I don't know. Hoist it up in a few minutes.
Hey! How?
Carefully.
Alright, now we actually got some gameplay. So, let's hop aboard here. We won't get to know what's in the box yet. Get to look around the ship a little bit. I'm gonna quickly set sharp. Yeah. Let's go with LCD. It is, in my opinion, the cleanest looking one, the most visually pleasing. I played the whole one in one of the other ones, but I'm gonna go with this one too, so let's there we already have a dead body. We'll soon find out. So I believe you just have to walk around and investigate the ship. We have no inventory, no nothing at this point. So how do you use it? The doors. Some stuff. Oh, there you go.
Too heavy!
Right. I can start getting into the heart of this game.
Let's do it. Take it yourself, Open it.
Right. Let us open this. There's a book. Some sort of thing behind it. Alright. Return of the Obra Dinn. I trust that you now find yourself aboard the Obra Dinn. I expect this day to come. My own intention was to tell a ship's strange tale to the people. Rarely fail in health as well. My basics. So this guy goes over a little bit. He talks about pocket watch, and we have to return to the French Office of Affairs in Morocco. Bargain chapter remain unknown to you. Obviously, some details within, but I've elected to keep them private for now. Here we have our first given name. So let's flip through. We got all the contents here. The journey. So this is a route we're supposed to take. Go down here, all the way to the cape. This is the ship itself. We'll be looking at this map in more detail. Got the top deck, the main deck, gun deck, Orlov deck. Each little bit point here. These will be useful later. The crew. Alright, let's look through here. Now we see our first name here, Henry Evans. Henry Evans, and as far as we are aware, if we actually flip all the way back to the beginning, Henry Evans, he's alive in Africa. So we already have our first kind of deduction. We don't know what he looks like or who he is in this map here, but what we do know is he is alive. And then also, if you see, all these pictures are blurred, but this one. And pictures that aren't blurred are easily deducible. And so, let's just take a look at this picture. If you look here, he's at the helm. So let's pop here, see who maybe this could be. If we go into here, it's kind of little hints that we can probably rule out he's the helmsman. There's only one helmsman. And of course the helmsman is going to be at the helm. Of course we can't really put in anything yet, but this just shows that they are identifiable. So as soon as we figure out this man's fate, or as soon as we can identify this man, I'll be sure to. Right. Yeah, and then these are the chapters of cargo. These circles here on the cargo deck, that's where we can access this chapter. Orlov deck, first mate's window. Yes. On the cargo deck, let's see, in the port walk, on the cargo deck, on the bow, gun deck, captain's quarters. Bargain, this is the chapter we talked about. We'll get it after we send this book back to him. In the lazarette, we got inside the midshipman cabin. Finally, the end, outside captain's quarters, inside captain's quarters. And we'll get to the end really soon. These are all the information on some of the people. We can look at them sooner and later in detail. For now, we can just leave that blank. And here's the end of the book. Go back to table of contents and close the book. And here is that pocket watch that was mentioned. Mental mortal. Remember death. Right, and we now have this pocket watch. So let's go test this thing out. If you read the book, I believe it talks about how you can identify what happened in moments. Well, not what happened, but you can hear a blip of what happened moments before someone's death and see the instance they died. So let's test it out.
Captain, open the door! Ah, lest we break it down and take more than those shells! You bastards maintain exactly what I give you!
Alright. So, this man was shot, presumably by this man, the captain. His name was mentioned, so we know this guy's the captain. And there's the man who shot and killed this guy here. We have a guy here too. There's also this guy going up here. So, and also you can zoom in on people, hit tab, and open the book on their image. This allows you to identify people pretty easily. So, some sort of mutiny going on, I guess. You know, they want the captain to open up so that they can get some shells, maybe. We'll learn more about these later. So, see, this is deck everywhere. And then this is also the helm we saw in that image. So, that's pretty cool. fades out. And now it opens. And it will immediately flip to the event you just witnessed. So we are in the end of the voyage, the end of the journey, represented very clearly by a gun. So this was this man here. Who is this and how did they die? Well, we don't know who he is at this moment, but we do know that he was shot by a gun and he was yelling at the captain. So we can very much assume that he was shot by the captain. Let's head back to the front page because we can start identifying people now. So first, let's go to the helmsman. This person's face no longer identified, book and pocket watch, showing appearance activities. His activity is being at the helm. 60 people on the ship when it left England. Determining everyone's identity and fate will not be easy. That is very true. It took me a while to beat this game, to say the least. So, we can identify this man as the helmsman, because he is clearly at the helm of the ship. And we are also able to identify this man as Captain Robert. That's all we can identify at this point. And so, we get no more information when we're looking at this. We have this guy here. He's accompanied. He's in a different uniform than this. So this guy's in a pretty fancy uniform. This guy's completely shirtless. And then this guy over here, he's wearing some sort of uniform. And this guy up here is wearing another different, distinct uniform. So let's head out this door and see what else we can discover. And so now that in that vision, this door was opened, we now get access to this door, which was previously locked. Not just an access this. So we can now enter the captain's quarters. And there we go. Next to bodies. So let's go. What happened to this guy?
Where are you? Must be in here someplace. They're at the bottom of the sea. That's no lie.
Alright, so again, we see the captain, and this man is the guy who is accompanying this guy over here. So, zooming on this guy, can't identify his fate yet. What else can we see? There, this guy who's running up there, he's now jumping down there. So, we gotta wait for the book to go into the page. And we can identify that this man was stabbed by the captain. It seems the captain was also pierced here, but who knows if that's relevant. Here's the man who died earlier. Shot by the captain in a supposed mutiny. Alright, the end. Inside the captain's quarters. Who is this? How did they die? We do not know who this is, but he was very clearly knifed by the captain. Alright. Back through the door. We've gathered all the information we can from that little scene there. They're arguing about some sort of shells, though, so that's interesting to note. Next one. Alright. So, this man stabbed the captain, so it was probably the guy who came around and jumped down here. Captain clubbed him against the head. struck him as waiting for what he found. I don't know what he found. Probably a piece of the ship that broke off at some point. There's a gun that he shot his first man with. There's the knife that he stabbed him with. So, potential detail. And here we see a lady. She's dead here. We'll get to her soon. Back up here. All we can really identify right now is that the captain is going on some sort of killing spree. So it could be a potential mutiny. His men fighting against him for some reason. They wanted some shells. There was dialogue in the beginning that was pointing to that. So, who is this? How'd they die? We do not know who this is, but we know he was clubbed by Captain Robert Whitlow. Alright. Got all our information here. So what will happen next? As you're probably as you're seeing in the book, the events are going in an order right now. So the first thing that happened, shot. Then he knifed that guy. And these, you can tell, no important event happened between these two things that we could witness. So there's no gaps in the story. There's another problem. There's her. That's fine. So, but let's check out this body here and see what's going on with that.
Abigail, your brother, my friend. I shot him dead. I'll be with you soon, my love. Please forgive me for everything.
And that is that. The captain commits suicide. And he mentioned some serious dialogue there. Abigail, brother. Which means Abigail's brother was shot by the captain. So we know that man is Abigail's brother. So we hone in on him. Abigail. So first let's analyze Abigail. Let's look at the only Abigail in this list. Abigail Hoscut Whittle. We see Robert Whittle, so they're married. And then William Hoscut. Hoscut, that's her maiden name. So we can deduce that this man, Abigail's brother, is the first mate, William Hoscut, was shot by Captain Robert Whittle. As the game states, this may or may not be correct. Fates are validated in sets of 3, which makes this game really cool and really unique. I like the fact that fates are identified like this. It leaves less possibility of guessing. You can't guess people's fates. Because the fate of 3 thing is really cool, because it only validates 3 things that are right. So it actually can be useful in some ways. Say you're making a validation and you have 4 things, or you have 3 things and it isn't validating anything for you, and you get a 4th and it validates 3 things. You know, the one thing that wasn't validated was wrong, because or else it would have triggered earlier. So there's a lot of tactics you can use with it. It allows so that people aren't just guessing at every fate. So Captain Robert Whittle, he committed suicide with a gun. That's very clear. And that is all the information we can gather from this clip. Specifically. So let us head back out. Return of the Obra Dinn, the end. And so this pops up when you've finished a section, when you've witnessed all deaths in the section. It doesn't confirm whether or not you have the death right, but it's a thing that pops up when you've completed a section. So the end chapter has been filled up. So beginning of the end was the mutiny, then this. And then we get to the glass. Alright. So we know there's another corpse here. Some lady. Let us see what happened to her. Alright, so this has revealed a lot. This is the first big analysis scene that we really truly get to witness. So we know that this is Abigail. She called for Martin, the only one who really seems to be near her and important enough to be calling her over. Is this man here? He's like, come here, and then boom, he's hit and he falls over from the ship tipping. So maybe we can identify this guy as Martin Perry, third lift. So I don't see anyone else nearby that could really fit that bill. And then this, obviously, is Abigail. And soon enough, we'll be able to identify her fate. So, as soon as the cutscene goes, we see this guy climbing up here. He seems a little iffy. We got a few other people here. That guy there. There's a bunch of people. We'll analyze this scene though, because this requires a bit more thought than the first few parts. But we will enter the Dune. So this is chapter 7. I believe the other one was chapter not 8. I think the other one was chapter 10. X in the end. Yeah. Abigail Hoskett Woodrow hasn't been met. Not an unknown fate. She's very much clubbed by a beast. Here we go. Our first 3 fates. Alright, so that's true. That is true. And that is true. Alright, so first 3 fates identified and ready to go. So let us hop back up. So our little wristwatch is ringing a little bit, but I'm gonna let that be for a bit. So what the wristwatch does is when I click, it'll lead me to another dead body, which we'll find during the analysis. So as you can see, there are a few people here. There's shorter, seemingly younger, maybe an older lady. You know, one with a bit more gray in the hair, one with a bit more black. We got this person here as well. So if we take a look at the ship's map, actually, we'll really see where are they. Well, they are in the passenger cabins. So it's assumed that these guys are probably passengers. So can't exactly identify this guy, this girl, and this girl. So we know they're passengers. So what I am going to do, we could probably assume this guy here is a passenger as well, but maybe we'll see. We don't have any conclusion on that, but we know these people aren't working anything on the ship, so we can mark them. Let's talk about the difficulty. This is a deduction rating. High ratings of more difficult to reduce person's identity. Books are easily conduct identities. That is true. So we know there are there are 7 passengers. She doesn't seem to be in the Formosa family, because that's the Formosa royalty right there. So that's the Formosa passengers. So she's either Nizzo Pasqua, she might be Italian, Emily Jackson, and Miss Jane Bird. So I'll mark her as unknown for now, but if we look, one of them looks a bit younger than the other, right? And if we look here, Miss isn't exactly a first name. It probably means not married. Or actually, that is what it means. And so we could actually probably mark her as Miss Jane. And here's that one. Of course, these aren't 100% concrete and solidated, but it's probably the case because they seem, English and a bit older, a bit younger. Miss denotes a younger presence. Of course. That was all we can really identify at this point. We are able to identify this, which strongly supports the idea that this is Martin Perrott. We aren't able to identify anyone else at this point. This guy, he seems kind of important. He's shooting down a squid. This guy up here, that's Finley Dalton, the helmsman. So he's being dragged away. So maybe this is the last chapter of Doom. So my thought is he's probably gonna die somewhere. So let's mark that down. Finley Dalton. He's probably, because if for example he is dragged off the ship and dumped somewhere in the ocean, right? How are we going to witness that death? How are we going to witness the fact that he drowned, right? So for now, we don't know his fate, but I'm going to mark it as in some notes off screen. I'm going to say he was drowned. Just drowned, fell off into the ocean, because he probably, unless we see him in a later scene, So right now I'm marking it as that. We can't actually input anything as that. And if we don't see him in a later scene, we'll know what happened. Those are the types of things you gotta note in this game. And this man, you don't know what happens to him either. He's running with a sword. And then we have this man here. Got this man here. They seem to be connected by something, maybe. Just maybe, and then this is a man who got clubbed by the captain in the end. And then, so let's click now. It's a dead body. Click, compass will lead us to a dead body. Alright, so now we're back in reality. We aren't in that death sequence anymore. And so now we can walk and follow this. And this will lead you. And so just like how these doors opened in those dreams, bodies will be shown. You can see the doors look more fuzzy, right? More fuzzy, more dreamlike. That's what happened with corpses too. So this man, and you can see this corpse is fuzzy. It's not actually here. Those doors, technically, in like the reality of the arrived at the ship, they're locked because of this nice, beautiful compass here to receive that. The body. Well, this ship will become littered with corpses as we imagine. So let's check out what happened to this guy. Yeah. So he's been crushed, torn apart, I think would be most accurate. There's a lot more interesting stuff going on in this scene. We got another dead body here, another guy here. We got that guy before who seems to be tossing a gun over to this guy. That guy clinging on for dear life. This guy here, he's a guy who is just taking on the world, it seems. That's that guy there. Alright, part 7 of the Doom. Who is this and how did they die? Well, we definitely know how he dies. He was torn apart by a beast. And so, who is he? Well, let's look through all these names, right? He doesn't seem to be anything formal. He's wearing, like, at best, he's a top man, right? And that's even kind of pulling such because top mans even have some sort of seaman. So he has to be some sort of seaman. So let's look at these names, right? What could he be, right? While we can't officially deduce, he could be seaman, could be top man. We're just gonna leave it be for now. It says we can deduce at this point, but that'd be really tricky. Yeah. You might be able to delve into cultural aspects. Maybe there's something specific about his tattoos or something. Another interesting thing to note is we didn't hear him speak any words, but he could just be a quiet man. So I'm just going to leave that deduction for a bit later. Abigail Woodrow. We'll move on. So he was torn apart. Right there. You have a sword. And there's this guy here. This guy here. And there. Some outfits at least. This is Martin Parrott, shooting from abroad. This guy who's going to be receiving a gun. That guy right there. Down for your dear life. And we have another body just over there. So, activate that. Keep going forward. Alright. Activate. Let us go. So this is going to drag us to that new body we found. This guy here. Look at that. Shattered corpse. So let's look at this guy. See what is his fate? Alright. This is good. Ooh. So this guy just got exploded. This guy here, he looks pretty distressed. We'll mark him down as a savior guy. No. There's no reason to mark him down. So we can keep track of who this guy is. We got this guy over here falling off the ship. I'm gonna mark him as underway image, top row, turban. Top row, turban. And the reason I'm marking him is because he is falling very clearly overboard. My guess, he's not getting back on the ship. And so we probably could assume that he's drowned. But he drowned at some point in life. That he is probably not alive. And probably didn't die any other way than that. We got this man here. This is the man who's torn apart. Equipped with a sword. Likewise. Got some more stuff. Now take a look at every little interesting detail. Because then, you're able to deduce certain things. This guy bringing some guns up, that guy down. And he'd soon toss those guns off, trying to take out this terrible, terrible beast that is invading the ship. Who is this? How did they die? Well, they were exploded. That is a very obvious fate. So, now we're given a clicking sound, and we are set to be on the way. So I think I'm going to end it off here. Nice place to end it off. Let's quickly go check what everything reveals. So we are able to identify this man. He's hanging out with all these people. We've probably identified them correctly. Identified her. A few other people. Got him underway. Those guys. Everyone else, though, seems to be a very clear player. Which is fine. We're able to identify those as we go. And this guy, I thought this guy took a lot more than this. I'm gonna have to quickly look into that and see, based on each reason, what this guy down here. That's a. Could probably identify this guy. ES. I look for an ES. We got Edward Nichols. That's not ES. Edward Spratt. That's one ES. I don't think there's any more, because that was the artist. That was indeed the artist. Which means it's also really cool, because you could probably assume that while it's not a visual picture of the artist, it is his signature, and that he probably drew these things. So that makes it at least a fair bit easier. Alright. That is it. Peace out, guys.